Yes, on this lesson, we will be focusing on margin. And there comes the question, what is margin? So, a margin is a relatively small amount of funds required as collateral to open and maintain a new position. Earlier, before this lesson, we talked about the lent money given to you by your broker, which is leveraging. So we will want to know how this works hand in hand with margin and how it helps you open a relatively bigger position other than you would have based on your account balance. Remember that this lent money, you are not entering into a contract, or the broker is not entering into this very position together with you. And it is not a transaction cost, but a security deposit. When the position is closed, it will also be released when you are on profit. It is like someone who wants to go on a higher purchase for a property, and then you have to pay a certain percentage for you to own the property, and then the balance afterwards. Well, now if you have, say, $1,000 to own a property, now uh, you have to deposit, like, say, 10% according to the agreement for you to have the property and then pay afterwards. If okay, let us say the property is $1,000 too. Your 10% is $100, right? Yes, and so we also assume that the total value of that property is $1,000. But for you to pay just 10%, you can have the property and pay afterwards. So if you can pay 10% on each of the properties, then you can own like 10 properties with your $1,000 for you to pay little by little afterwards. So instead of just having $1,000 and own one for yourself, you can use $1,000 to own 10 at a time to pay up later. So, talking about this merging, the purpose of merging is to provide an emergency parachute for your trade so that if you blow out your account, this money will be released to cover your losses and prevent your balance from going negative. Because if your balance should go negative, it should mean that you will be owing your broker, and your broker will not allow, no broker will allow for that. So, you always need to ensure that you have the available margin or the required margin for you to trade leveraged position. Let us take as an example that you have, say, $2,000 in your balance, and with your broker, you have set that you have an agreement that you will have to take trades on leverage 100 is to 1. Now, let us say you want to trade a lot size which is one standard lot. Remember that 1,001 standard lot simply means that you will be controlling like 100,000 units of currency, and you just have only 2,000. But what you for a standard lot you need 100,000. So this is the work of margin and leverage. Since you have a 100 is to 1, which is your trading power, of which if you have one of it, a broker can multiply it into 100. It simply means with this one standard lot, it is going to be 100,000 divided by 100. So this 100,000 divided by 100, which is the power given to you by a broker, the number of time if you should have just one of it, then what you'll be having is 1,000 as margin. So this 1,000 is what you will set aside, what your broker will have to keep aside as a collateral when you open your position. So that if you are having loss, or if you had loss, then it will be released into your account so that your account will be balanced to zero. Your broker will not want you to owe him or her. Hmm? Okay, to understand more, let us say that you also have $1,000 in your balance, and you say, okay, what I want to do is to set aside just $100 as margin for this particular trade I'm entering, and you set a leverage of 50 to 1. That is whatever you have multiplied into 50. So what it is going to be now is the 100 margin, which is the money you set as your broker will set aside, multiplied by 50, which is your trading power. Then you should know the amount of units you can control, which is $5,000 with your $100 account, and so you can enter into a mini lot. Now, let us also take another example for you to be clarified on this margin. Let us say, for example, too, that you set for a 100 to 1 leverage. Then your balance is $1,000, and you want to trade a mini lot, just one mini lot. Then you know that a mini lot, it is about a 10,000 units of currency. That's what you can control with these mini lots, but you do not have it. But with the power of this merging and leverage, or this leveraging, you can be able to do that. So what you will do is to divide this 10,000 units of currency by 100, which is the leverage. The power your broker has given you to know what you can set aside, and it is $100. That is what your broker will set aside as a down payment, as a collateral required for you to open that position, which ordinarily you wouldn't be able to open safely with your balance. Now, let us take the last example. Say you have $100, relatively amount of dollar, 100, relative small amount. Then your leverage is 1,000 is to 1. Some brokers do allow 1,000 is to 1 leverage, of which if you have 1 as down payments, they can multiply your leverage by 1,000. So let us say you want to keep aside $10 for this particular trade, which is you want to set aside $10 as a margin. That is the collateral for you to enter into this particular trade. So what do you do? Or how do you know the lot size to trade? Then what you're going to do is to multiply this $10 that your broker will set aside by the trading power given to you, which is the leverage. So it is now going to be $10 times 1,000, which will give you 10,000 units of currencies to be traded. And so you should be able to trade 10 mini lots, which simply means that each move will be a $1. Each move in pip is $1. And so if you move 10 pips, you should now have $10. And if you do it for 5 trading days, it simply means you have $10 times 5, which is $50 per week. And if you do that $50 per week for the 4 weeks, then you have about $200 per month. You get that? Yes, it simply means you have doubled your account in 1 month. However, you need to know the potential risks that is involved.